we had the coolest job in the world. We're gonna build a Marvel superheroes fighting game. How awesome is that? We're a lot of comic fans on the team. I've personally been a comic fan most of my life. Everyone really wanted to treat these characters delicately. First thing was the look. We wanted to be really true to the look of the characters. So our art director, Cliff Boulay, has just been like fanatical about the look of these characters, making sure everyone looks right from every conceivable detail. And again, we've worked a lot with Marvel to make sure that the characters look really, really relevant.
Marvel has an incredible roster of characters and a rich history. And one of the things that happens, we see a lot, is when people get the Marvel license, they instantly take their characters and they make them very cartoony and campy. And that was probably one of the most difficult things, was to steer away from that and keep these characters part of the real world, keep them part of a darker world, and give them a contemporary feel.
So the first thing to bring them to life was look. Second thing that was really important were their powers. That's what part of what makes these characters so cool is their abilities. So we went through and made sure that the characters in the game could do everything that their counterparts in the fiction could do. That's why you want to play a superhero game, is so you can feel like your favorite superhero.
So the first decision we made in the game was to go full 3D rather than 2D. Most fighting games are toe-to-toe fighters, so the characters are rotating and locked from front points of view.
Moving into a 3D just kind of opened you up right away, and the first thing we saw was that it really let the mobility of these characters come to life. These are characters that have some fantastic mobility types, We have teleporters, we have people who swing, we have people who fly. You're not really going to get that payoff on a locked 2D.
We didn't want to have a fighting game where the backgrounds or the environments were non-interactive. They were just these pretty backdrops that you fought in. We really thought that if you are going to feel heroic and super powerful as a super character, you want to kick the bejeebers out of the environment, right? So we wanted to make every object an object that you could pick up or destroy, or even more importantly, blow up. And the more things that blow up, the better.
We tried to create areas that were fun to fight in and allowed for a lot of destructibility. That's one of the things that's probably one of the most fun, is tearing these worlds apart and destroying them.
So destructibility for us was really key to help deliver on the abilities of a superhero. You can get in there, you can pick up a truck, you can rip a lamppost out, you can huck a car, you can just rip the environment to pieces, and it becomes not only a key part of your strategy, but a key point in really bringing the superheroes to life. The other really interesting thing about destructibility is, from a gameplay standpoint, it turns into a third opponent. You have to be careful what the environment's going to do to you, because the environments are in flux, so you're going to have to be very mindful of what's going on in the environment while you're fighting your opponent. So it really turns into another adversary that you're dealing with as well, and it's going to affect your strategy based on what character you take. My name's Dan Ayub. I'm the producer on EA's new superhero title, Marvel Nemesis: Rise of the Imperfects, and I'll be talking to you a little bit today about story mode. Essentially what we've developed is a new system for a fighting game that's a single-player story mode that takes you out of the basic combat mechanic of the rest of the game and puts you into the position of playing a series of superheroes as they progress throughout a story mode in the game itself. So this will be a totally different mechanic as per the classic fighting mechanic of the regular mode. So the story mode essentially starts with a character strolling across the bridge that turns out to be Thing, who just happens to be there when Rokal starts his assault. So the bridge just explodes. Thing realizes that it's under attack by these creatures and proceeds to go into action to defend the citizens of New York, and he begins fighting these creatures. So the story mode essentially begins with Rokal launching an attack on the city, and the superheroes are in various parts of the city just, realizing that all of a sudden these aliens are materializing out of nowhere and just beginning to randomly wreak havoc. So obviously, being superheroes, the characters spring to life and they start fighting off this alien horde. At the beginning, no one's really sure what's going on. They just know that out of nowhere these things have appeared and started attacking the city, targeting superheroes and blowing things up. And as the players progress through the story, they start to realize that, the attack is really just a distraction, and that Rokal is actually looking for his perfect weapon that's gone missing. And the superheroes begin to collaborate to try and get to that weapon before he does. So again, through the story mode, the player's going to learn a lot of things they need to know, like wall running, jumping around, how to interact with their environments, and also, of course, the basics of combat, what the different moves are, the base moves, and of course, a lot of the more deeper contextual moves, like jumping from walls, using your powers in special circumstances, things like that. So as the characters begin to, they go from fighting off this alien invasion, they begin to realize that there's this guy, Rokal, who's behind it all, and they begin, tracking him down to his hideout, essentially, and start taking the war to him, trying to discover what he's doing here, what's going on. And they basically find out where he's hiding, begin to break into his base, and take the battle to him. Hi, I'm Dan Ayu, producer of Marvel Nemesis Rise of the Imperfects, here to talk to you about an exciting new mechanic we've developed for the game, the Universal Fighting System. We wanted to move away from the memorization mechanic and move towards a more skill-based system that's more about context and learning your superheroes. We're going to show you how it works right now. So a big challenge for the game was helping the individualities of the superheroes come to life with a common system. So the system at its base is very simplistic, but you'll see putting it all together can really create some very interesting combinations. So all characters have the same basics. So for example, each character has a basic jump. So Spider-Man, for example, when he jumps, it's very true to character. We want to get a lot of his movements down. Iron Man's is a little more, true to the fiction. He's using his thrusters and things like that. In addition to the basic jump is the basic attack. So if the characters square off against one another, they'll do a simple punch if they're at a closer range. So if Spider-Man punches Iron Man punches Spider-Man. These are basically going to be the simplistic combinations in close combat. Another important dynamic of it is the block. Now, we talk a lot about being true to the fiction, so if Spider-Man punches at Iron Man and Iron Man is blocking, Iron Man will put up his fists and kind of block it. Whereas Spider-Man, who's a more agile character, if Iron Man starts trying to punch him, Spider-Man is going to dodge rather than put his fists up and try and block it. The other basic button combination is the grab. So a simple grapple, so if Spider-Man reaches up and grabs Iron Man, he's going to throw him. And whereas it's the same for Iron Man, he runs up, he's going to grab him and throw him. The grab button is also used for props in the environment. So characters can pick up objects that are lying around and throw them around at will. Now, where the really cool part comes in are the two shoulder buttons. These are kind of shift keys for the basic button combination. So the left trigger button is essentially mobility. So in the case of Spider-Man, when he hits mobility, he's going to start, web zipping. If he jumps and does it, he's going to start, web swinging around the environment. So this really helps the character come to life. He'll also stick to walls if he gets close enough to one. Iron Man, on the other hand, if he starts using mobility, he's going to fly. So he's going to start zipping around the environment. This is another major change for the game because we wanted to get off the basic 2D axis and kind of let it get 3D, not just moving around, but up and down. Now, the other modifier for the game is the right trigger. This is the Superpower button. This is really where the powers start to come through. Now, it's important when you hit the triggers, those 4 basic buttons I described at the beginning, everything modifies. So in the case of Spider-Man, now with Superpower, if he jumps, he's going to jump much higher than he did normally. The same thing true for Iron Man. He's going to get a bit more boost. Attacks get different. Spider-Man starts to use his webbing when his superpower's up. So he'll start, creating zip lines to come in. If he's at a distance, he'll fire web bullets, things like that. Whereas, by the same token, Iron Man, that basic attack button now turns into his distance attack, so he's going to start, doing superpower combos, firing repulsor blasts, things that are really true to his fiction. Grab is a modifier as well, so Spider-Man, for example, using his webs, can now start picking up objects or opponents up at a distance, so he can web objects, throw them to him. If he webs Iron Man, he can grapple him by his feet and throw him. These are really the areas where the individuality and the uniqueness of the characters start to come to life. Block button with the superpower button held, everyone has a 360 block. Iron Man will erect a force field around himself. Spider-Man will encase himself in a web shield. So these two triggers really start to bring the uniqueness of the characters to life. So you can see that from a very basic control system, you're getting some really unique moves. And as I said earlier, everything is context. So if you put all of this together, you can just really see how what a seemingly very simple control system can yield some really spectacular results, as you can see here if the characters just kind of let loose a little bit. So all of the combinations you're seeing here are basically modifications of the system I spoke about. So it's up to the character to kind of figure out how the context of the different characters work, how the different systems work, and what they're going to see is as they experiment with these are all very logical moves that the player can string together rather easily. That's not only fun, but really shows off the uniqueness of the characters. Another unique movement of the game, which is really cool and helps bring the characters to life, is dodge. This is done by holding the block button and moving the joystick. So Iron Man and Spider-Man can actually move around. So Iron Man will use his jets to move himself in and out of harm's way really, really quickly, and Spider-Man will do the same. The difference for Spider-Man being because he's more of a mobility character, he can chain his dodges together. So this means he can do repetitive backflips, he can do forward flips. This is a huge payoff for the fiction because, of course, Spider-Man is hard to hit. He's a very agile character. Again, everything about this game is finally bringing the superheroes to life as no game has before, so that you can finally feel like your favorite superhero. So a big part of bringing the superheroes to life is the superhero power button. So in the case of Wolverine, when you hit it, your claws will actually pop out. This is actually a really satisfying piece of control because the user actually feels like they're in control of their character's superpower. Human Torch is another character. When he hits superpower, he's going to light up. As you know, he increases his flame. He can fly around. He can throw bolts. This is really about delivering on the feel of controlling your superheroes. So, you know, the player decides when the claws come out. The players decide when Human Torch is really going to heat up and start throwing fireballs. They're not locked to an arbitrary set or, you know, limited by memorization. So all the powers of the individual superheroes are really brought to life through this simple control mechanism. As you can see, the details of the characters come to life as well. As Wolverine runs close to Human Torch and grabs him or throws him, you actually see Wolverine illuminated by the light coming off of the Human Torch. This goes a long way to really help you feel like you're really in the middle of a superhero battle.
We've been talking to Marvel on and off for the past 5 years about making a fighting game with them and figuring out how we could make this work. And I think it was about 2.5 years ago, we finally got serious, and it was an opportunity to work with a group license, so license that involved multiple Marvel characters fighting against some characters that we would co-develop. And we really felt like there was a missing hole in the genre, that there hasn't really been a fighting game with superheroes that really reflected superhero abilities and powers. Yeah, this is a fully 3D fighting experience. It is not a 2D fighting game where the characters are locked nose to nose. So you can jump, fly, swing, sort of do everything you'd expect you can do with the fighting game. And it's sort of inspired by, you know, Power Stone, War of the Monsters, Super Smash Brothers. So we really did go for a different type of fight mechanic than what your classic fighting games like Street Fighter and Virtua Fighter. The game features comic realism. It is a superhero. It is an epic superhero simulation. So this is a whole bunch of really great Marvel characters, some really cool new characters that we've created in epic battles in large interactive environments. This is sort of a superhero fighting experience you've never seen before. One of the questions we often get asked is, you know, why did you want to create some new characters? Why didn't you just use only Marvel characters? And we really wanted to, you know, take these superheroes and make them relevant in the 21st century. And a lot of the Marvel characters that are in the game were created in the 60s with Stan Lee, with the X-Men and Spider-Man. And we really wanted to create a set of characters that were relevant to today's culture and today's mores. So we pitched it to Marvel and said, hey, here's, you know, let's do Marvel against a new set of family that we build together. And they really liked the idea. It gave us a big advantage because we could not only build characters that were ripe for fiction, so for stories in a comic book, but we're really good interactively. We didn't have to worry about powers that were harder to pull off in a game, sort of like telekinesis or invisibility, are really hard in a video game to make work. So we were able to sort of address both media side in creation of these characters. So it's kind of a convergence of what's happening with film, television, games, and comic books is, you know, why only release them in one medium? Why not come out and try and hit on multiple platforms? So we're coming out with a comic book series where these characters are introduced, and sort of the whole game premise is set up in a 6-issue comic book before the game releases. We really wanted to start with a carte blanche when it came to which story paths, which version of the Marvel characters we wanted to take, and sort of start fresh. So with Wolverine, Iron Man, and Spider-Man, these are sort of, the comic books and the game are sort of taking them off from the year 2005 and sort of starting anew. But we're really inspired by what both the films have done and what the Ultimate series have done, which is going for sort of a more contemporary feel to these characters, sort of darker, tougher, meaner. I think when we started the game, we really didn't want you to master one or two characters. The problem with some of the classic fighting systems is they're built out of 10 years of developing a game. So you're really drilling down deep and you're really mastering a fight mechanic for a specific character. So there's, you're remembering about 1,200 button combinations to really truly master one of these individual characters. So we really wanted to enjoy all of the superheroes. We didn't want it to be a game where all the characters were on an even playing field. We really wanted it to be reflective of how the character's true abilities. So, when you fight Wolverine against Iron Man kind of has an advantage. He has repulsor rays, he has beams, he's a better long-distance character, where Wolverine has an advantage up close because he's got the adamantium claws. So we wanted a controller scheme where once you learned it, you could apply it to other characters without completely having to relearn the fight mechanic system, but you do have to relearn how the rock, paper, scissors work. What are the hazards for that character and what's beneficial for that character? So in an electrical field, for most characters that's damaging, it does damage. For Johnny Ohm, it actually charges him up. So every character you play has a different sort of tactical approach to how you approach fighting him in the level, but the control mechanism pretty much stays the same. Spider-Man has the ability to swing and recover from ring out. So if you're talking about the Daily Bugle, you're talking about a ring out level where you're at the top of this building and you can throw people off the edge of the building and cause a ring out. So Spider-Man is able to recover from that by swinging. He's also able to wall crawl. He can pick up objects from a distance. So one advantage he has over Iron Man is he doesn't have to go up next to an HVAC unit at the top of the building and pick it up. He can actually use his webbing, pick it up from 20 feet away, pull it back to his hands, and then throw it at the character, whereas Iron Man, he has to get close to an object. Iron Man has repulsor rays, and he's also got missiles. So when he's flying in the air, he's got heat-seeking missiles, so he has some advantages in the game as well. So it's a very different tactical approach to how you play those two characters. So if I was playing Spider-Man, I'd be looking to take advantage of a lot of the environmental objects and webbing them and trying to throw Iron Man from a distance. And I'd probably keep my distance so I have time to dodge his attacks. And if I was Iron Man, I'd try to get out of Spider-Man's way, maybe go up in the air and snipe as much as I can. Most fighting games tune so that each character adds up to 10. So if it's a slightly slower character, he does more damage with his punches. If it's a faster character, he does less damage with his punches. So the matchups between the characters are, a little more subtle in terms of how the different characters match up. But in this game, it's an utterly different experience when you're fighting with a Class 1, a very weak character, against a Class 3, a very strong character. So a lot of the fun is the fact that the game really changes on how you mix up with your character selection. And then the other part, we sort of jokingly refer on the team a lot, that the environment is a third character in the game. It really does provide a unique departure from where fighting games have gone before, because they are part of the fight mechanic. These environments are fully interactive. You can blow the crap out of them. And each environment poses its unique challenges. There's online play on Xbox and PS2, and it's 2-player head-to-head on Xbox, PS2, GameCube, and PSP. So I'm excited that everyone's able to see this game at E3. The game is called Marvel Nemesis: Rise of the Imperfects. It's going to be featured on Xbox, PlayStation 2, GameCube, and PlayStation Portable, and it's shipping in October this fall.
Marvel Nemesis is a 3D fighting game for the PSP that contains many different characters from different aspects of the Marvel Universe, the Avengers, the X-Men. They've got the Fantastic Four and others. So they also contain some brand new characters that were developed here in-house at Electronic Arts that play a significant role in the game and are new to the Marvel Universe as well. The differences between the PSP and the console version, you'll notice right from the very beginning, when you look at it, that it's got a new look and feel. The the design of it was really catered and tailor-made for the PSP with a vibrant screen that's very, very colorful, that we wanted to get art that really popped off the screen and really took advantage of the hardware. Some of the unique features in the game are our Wi-Fi head-to-head component. We've got new characters, so you'll see some characters that are specific to PSP that you won't see in console. We've got Captain America and another one which we'll announce shortly. Captain America is everything that you expect out of the Cap: fast, throwing his shield, running around, and kicking butt. There's also new environments in the game. There's many environments that you'll see that take place in the same surroundings that console does. But, like, for example, you'll see console's environment in the background of the Daily Bugle that's in our game. But many of the environments are actually subtly changed or slightly different so that they are really catered to the gameplay experience for the PSP. We also have a form of power-ups or rewards in the game that allow players to collect different cards or modifiers that affect their stats, and each character can equip up to 4 at a time and take those into battle and use them when needed, and those will affect their strength, their power, their defensive for a period of time, which may tip the balance of power in the game or give you a surprise comeback right when you need it the most. We have an ad hoc Wi-Fi multiplayer feature in the game that allows you and all your buddies to get together, grab your PSP and Marvel and sit in the same room, check each other's stats out, see who's been winning the most, and challenge each other to one-on-one matches. Marvel Nemesis, Rise of the Imperfects, will be out in October and available on the PSP.
Young Maria Petrov trained very hard to be the prima ballerina in the Bolshoi ballet. She was taught total control, perfection in every move. As the pride of Russia, she began a tour of the world from Los Angeles. I had my own plans of greatness for her talents.
When Dr. Oko came to me, he said that the other doctors were all wrong. He told me he could make me dance again. I believed in Roko. As I dreamed of performing on stage again, he grafted seismic accelerators to my arms. I will now seek my revenge on the rest of the world. The seismic impact. I will now seek my revenge on the rest of the world.
Well, someone's come to the wrong place at the wrong time. You're going to regret that.
Prepare till you die to challenge me.
If you're not worried about me now, wait until you see what I can do with this. The power! Power! Things are going to get really hot in here, big boy. Things are going to get really hot in here, big boy.
Looking for me?
I'm not even trying yet!
Never fight a battle you cannot win.
What a great day for kicking ass.
Well, well, what have we here? Well, well, what have we here?
You don't have a chance!
You don't have a chance!
Game over.
Game over.
This is a News 12 special report.
New York City under attack from unidentified forces. We join Claire Strauss live on the scene.
Jim, it's crazy out here. I have never seen anything like this. The streets are filled with debris. There are bodies. We're just trying to take cover. Oh, did you see that? Where's Captain America? Oh, this is horrible. The attackers, they seem to be coming out of nowhere. We've had unconfirmed reports that the Punisher is missing in action. Jim, are you getting this? Is that the Hulk? Hold on. Wait a minute. Hold
on. You don't understand. When they landed on our planet, we thought they were refugees. You see, feeling compassion for others, it is something that I have had to unlearn in order to survive. More so-called refugees arrived. Slowly, they started to enslave us. All those that posed a threat were executed. Only I and a handful of other resistance fighters managed to escape. We needed to retake our home. We needed to build an army. I just wanted to save my people. That's why I made you. They're your people now. You're part of us. Forgive me.
One of the things that is very common in fighting games is for all of the characters, statistically at least, to add up to 100. So if it's you fighting against me, maybe I'm, small, so I move fast, but I don't punch very hard. And you, I don't know, maybe you're a big, strong guy, and you move slowly and you punch really hard. So we sort of even out. In the game, what we wanted to do was really build an asymmetrical fighting system. So if you were picking Elektra and you were fighting against Spider-Man or Johnny Ohm from the Imperfects, she's going to have a much harder time because Elektra has no inherent superpower. She's just a master of all martial arts. So she's more human-based superhero rather than someone who's got all these tremendous powers like Iron Man in his suit. So if there's this large truck sitting there in the environment and you're Elektra and you try and pick up the truck, no way in heck can Elektra pick up a 5-ton Mack truck.
We really wanted the characters to be true to the fiction. So Magneto can start hucking cars and buses and crates at you with a wave of his hand. He's this really, really powerful character. He's not the guy that's going to run up to you and start pulling karate kicks and throws on you and things like that. Here's a character who's going to use his mutant abilities to really just wreak havoc on you using the environment around you.
Since these characters are superheroes, we wanted them to feel heroic. We wanted you to be able to swing, fly, run, jump, wall climb, wall run. Everything a superhero can do, you can do. One of the things we did in the game is to come up with the idea that rather than just health and stamina, you've got superpower. So with each of your characters, you've got a superpower meter, and you're able to use it in your fighting game, but it's a finite source and it replenishes. So as we're playing and testing the game, we found that, having unlimited superpower is just an absolute blast.
What we quickly realized was those moments where you have full superpower are the most amazing. So I said, well, what if we had a mode where for a certain period of time, the sky's the limit, right? You have an unlimited amount of superpower that you can use at your discretion. So we instituted a rage mode, which is a mode you kind of lead up to through momentum. And when you get to this mode, you have unlimited superpower for a given period of time. So in that time, you can just unload on your opponent and do whatever you want.
and I just get to fly around and just zap the opponent with electricity all the time for a short amount of time. That is really satisfying.
I cannot underscore what a terrifically satisfying experience it is to just have that rage meter go and just fly into the air and start unloading onto your opponent. It really changes the dynamic of the game for that period of time. The coolest part of the game is that you finally feel like a superhero. It's all about delivering on the fiction of the superheroes, and it's ironic to say it's a new feature for a superhero game, but it really is. That's never really been paid off until now.
I'd say it's the most authentic superhero fighting game in amazingly kick-ass interactive environments with a very simple control scheme that you and I could pick up and play very quickly, but if you play the game for 3 or 4 months, you'll really master it and be able to control all of these characters that are all individual and unique in their own way.
This is the game that comic book fans have been waiting for. This is the game that's going to let you feel like your favorite superhero.
Game over.
I don't think you knew what you were in for.
It's clobbering time. You don't have a chance.
Jury and executioner.
You gotta be kidding! This is going to be too easy.